Oh, I love talking about time management because it is one of the greatest challenges that we face, I think, as humans, and then for us as working mums who are driven, who are high achieving, there is just this unbelievable struggle with this idea of time. And one of the greatest issues that women struggle with around this issue of time, and what I hear from my clients all the time, from friends, from the parking lot, is that the struggle usually shows up in one of two ways. So some women will say to me, "Oh, Charlotte, I feel like I am flying by the seat of my pants, like I'm blowing in the wind. I can't seem to get organized. I'm constantly reacting. I don't even know where to start." And they'll often just say to me, "Well, it just is that I am just a fly by the seat of my pants kind of woman, or I'm just not an organized person." And we'll get into that. But others might say to me, "I am incredibly organized. I plan my week. I use a diary. I manage big projects at work. I seem to stay on top of things for a while, and then uh, my plan collapses. Maybe it's by mid-morning, maybe it's by the time I get home at the end of the day, and then I just feel behind. I can't seem to be on top of my time." And the interesting thing is that these women look completely different on the surface. So one is chaotic, fly by the seat of my pants, one is very organized. But underneath, both of these women are dealing with the same thing, and it is not a time problem. It is a pressure problem. So chances are that you have tried everything when it comes to time and how to manage your time better, or you may not have tried everything, but you've thought of ways that you could manage your time better. Maybe you've said to yourself, "Oh, I need a better planner. I need better systems. I need more routine." And maybe you've tried to implement these better systems. Maybe you get up earlier or you go to bed later, and yet you still feel behind. You still feel like you can never get on top of all the things that you have to do. This to-do list just goes on and on and on. And with all of these things in place, you are still rushed. You still feel like you are chasing the day rather than actually having control of the day, leading yourself through the day. So today I want to tell you something that may come as a bit of a relief to that situation. And it is this: time management is not failing you, and you are not failing at your time management. The system itself is not failing. The problem is that time management does not actually solve the real issue at hand. So, if you are a capable, driven woman, who I know that you are, if you are watching this, if you are listening to this, someone who performs well at work, someone who carries a lot of responsibility, someone who is very good at holding everything together, but you constantly feel like time is slipping through your fingers, like you just can't grab a hold of it. There just isn't enough of it in the day to get everything done. This episode is going to help you because it's going to reframe how you understand productivity, getting things done, how you understand pressure, and why time feels limited, even when you are doing everything right, even when you do have those systems in place and you're organized, or you are managing things the way that you've been told that you should. Now, I love a good myth, and I love busting these myths so that we really can find things easier, because when we're living by a myth, it's very difficult. But when we're living busting these myths and finding the truth, oh, it's so much better. So the myth or the lie that we have been sold that I want to bust today is the idea that if I could just manage my time better, life would feel easier. There is a fundamental problem here that this myth does not take into consideration, and it is the reality that you do not feel time poor because you have too much to do. You do not feel time poor because your time management is bad. You feel time poor because your internal system is under pressure. That pressure that I talked about earlier is on your internal operating system. And so time scarcity is not a scheduling issue. It's not about your calendar or your to-do list. It is about the state that you are in when you approach that calendar or that to-do list. So if you think about it, you can have exactly the same calendar on 2 different days, and on one day you can feel frantic, you can feel reactive, you can feel overwhelmed by that to-do list, and then on another day you can feel focused, you can feel in control of it. I've got this, I'm grounded, I'm able to manage this. What changed on those 2 days? It was not the number of hours you had in your day or less things on your to-do list, if we say that we came at the day with exactly the same calendar. It is the internal pressure that you felt on that day or did not feel on the other day or in that situation. And so traditional time management assumes a whole bunch of requirements that simply are not true for you as a woman who has a demanding role at work and a home and a family to look after. Because this traditional time management assumes that you have lovely, clear mental space that helps you to prioritize and be responsive, and it's all clean and clear, and you're able to give calm attention to everything. You have a neutral emotional load. You have enough internal capacity to choose and to prioritize. But if your system is already under strain, which it is because you are carrying invisible responsibility all the time in your head, you are carrying guilt, you are carrying expectations, you are carrying identity pressure. These are the things that send you into a stress response, into fight or flight. And when this is happening, then no system, no traditional time management system is going to stick, because when that pressure is high, your attention is scattered. It's all over the place. You can't keep it focused where it needs to be. Everything feels urgent. You find yourself overcommitting. It's really hard to set boundaries in that internal pressure space. You multitask and you end up making mistakes or not doing anything properly. You react instead of choosing where you spend your time. And then at the end of the day, you are exhausted. There's no sense of progress you were hoping for. This then leaves you feeling guilty and frustrated and angry. And this creates even more pressure. And time management does not solve this pressure problem. In a recent episode, and I'm going to link it in the show notes below so you can go back to it, we spoke about the nervous system as a leadership system. And I want to go through how that links directly to time. When your nervous system is activated, so you're having a stress response, your ability to think narrows because you are purely thinking about protecting yourself, of fighting, or of running away from whatever is going on around you. So now you've got this narrow thinking, and in this state, in this kind of survival state, your sense of time collapses. You probably underestimate how long things are going to take because you're not thinking clearly and rationally. You overestimate all the things that you can hold on to because you need to do that in order to be safe. And so what happens then is your to-do list lengthens rather than shrinking, rather than getting through things. You just add more to the list. And then you move through those things quickly and kind of ticking them off the list so that you can feel safer, but it's very unproductive. And somewhere along the line, you might have some time to rest, but it is not rest that increases your capacity, because it is stressed out rest. And time feels pressured. You end up in a cycle of panic, and time, or the lack of time, starts to feel like the enemy, like it's robbing you of something, not because you're managing it very well, but because you're managing it from survival mode. Now, I love reframing things, because when we see things from a different perspective, we can get so much more clarity on what is really happening. So I want to offer you a reframe today. When this is happening and you feel like you don't have a grapple on your time, you are not losing time. You are just losing ownership of your time. So when pressure, when guilt, when the internal rules about what you should be doing, who you should be, are running the show, time owns you rather than the other way around. So when that happens, you wake up already reacting to things. You spend the day flying by the seat of your pants. Even if you were organized at the beginning of it, suddenly time is owning you and you just can't get back into the leadership position. And at the end of the day, you fall into bed and you think, gosh, where did the day go? Why didn't I get more done? And there is no planner, there is no system in the world that can fix that, because systems, management, they don't teach you how to slow down, how to pause and choose what you're going to do, how to discern what matters right now and do that thing one at a time, how to lead yourself through that pressure. This is a completely different skill entirely. This is the skill that you develop when you build what I call executive resilience. And this is what I teach these women who I see coming to me again and again with this idea that I just need to be more organized. When we work together and they say that, oh, I just need to be more organized, I just need to manage my time better, we slow down. We have a look at what is really happening. And it is always around this concept of pressure. They are trying to meet impossible internal standards. They are responding to what everyone else needs first, from a place of these internal standards of what it means to be good and right and acceptable. They are carrying identities that demand constant output, constant productivity, constant feeding everybody around them. And they are measuring themselves against an unrealistic pace of doing all of this. And interestingly, it is all about what these people, these women, are doing inside rather than what is going on outside, which is exciting, because actually the one place that you have control over, the one person that you have control over and the capacity change, is actually you. So when you start looking at these internal pressures, you take your focus off all the things that you can't change, all the things that are going on around you, and now you can start doing the work on taking back ownership of your time. So this is the shift. You stop trying to manage time by managing all these things out there, and you actually learn to lead time, to own time, by leading yourself and the way that you approach all those external challenges that you are focusing. So this doesn't start with another to-do list, another management system, another calendar. It starts with kind of going back to yourself with your attention, with your capacity, with your identity, and knowing yourself well enough, trusting yourself well enough that you have an internal steadiness and certainty that allows you to own your time. When these things are in place, then decisions become much more simple. They're less agonizing. You don't spend hours and hours making a decision or going back over that decision. You are able to prioritize what you spend your time on much more clearly and easily. It is much easier to hold your boundaries. That you're not filling your to-do list with all the yeses that you wanted to say no to. And then time begins to feel like something that you use wisely, rationally, cleverly, not something that's just kind of using up your capacity and using up your ability to move forward. So there's a lot of language that I've used today, things like internal leadership or this internal capacity, identity pressure, nervous system steadiness. And these might, if you are not a part of my world yet, feel new and unfamiliar. And so there are a few earlier episodes where I unpack these ideas a little bit more deeply. And as I've mentioned before, I'm going to pop the links to these episodes in the notes. Go and listen to these because they are going to help to support all you have heard today. And you don't need to listen to them in order, just follow along with what feels helpful to see how you can make that shift, that reframe from time management to owning your time, to leading your time. And in the next video or in the next podcast episode, I'm going to then take this a little bit further to how you can actually do that. So keep an eye on that. We're going to be exploring 3 ways that you can actually own your time. So I'm going to introduce you to what I call my time ownership ladder, which means that when you use this ladder, you move from chasing your tail, flying by the seat of your pants, driving yourself to get through everything on that to-do list, to feeling unproductive at the end of the day, to a place of intentionally, clearly, calmly moving through your day in a beautifully peaceful, productive, joyful way. I'm so excited for that episode. I'm going to show you why some women always feel behind, why other women feel calm when they have full, busy lives, and what it actually takes to move from reaction to ownership. Because time is not your enemy. Time can be your friend. Time can be something that brings you joy when you are able to lead from a place of certainty. So if time has been your constant frustration, which I know it is for so many of us, then join me next week because that episode is going to feel a bit like a light switching on. So I will see you there. But for now, here is something that I just want to leave with you today. You do not need more hours in your day. You do not need more discipline to stick to your schedule or to try harder. You need less pressure and you need more internal leadership. If this is something that you want so that you can get more done and have more calm, more present time with your children, I would love for you to book a free call with me. There's a link in the show notes for you to do that. We are going to look at what is creating pressure around time in your life specifically and what needs to shift so that things can start to feel calmer, so that you can be more intentional, so that life can feel more peaceful. Your time is too precious to be lived rushing from one thing to the other, always feeling like you'll never be on top. You do not need to live like that. And I would love to help you live more peacefully and with more time for the things that really matter.